right here in America that they say is so racist. There's people on the 13th floor that is collaborating against me. I haven't seen it. It's just not true. I always tell people, look, you're born looking like your mother and father, but you're going to die looking like your decisions. What decisions have you been making, right? What decisions have you been making in your life?
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of EML Radio. I'm so excited about today's guest. We have a gentleman by the name of Craig Long. Craig is an ex-convict, outspoken conservative activist. Craig served 6 years in prison for attempted murder. And through his ownership of his actions and taking personal responsibility for his life, Craig has turned his entire life around and become a role model and someone in the world right now that we all could learn so much from. He has so many powerful insights to share about what we're experiencing in the racial world right now, in the political world right now, and just overall all current events, and how each of us can take away from Craig's story by taking more personal responsibility for ourselves. I had never had a conversation with Craig before this recording, and I got to tell you that I will have him on the show many more times in the future because he is just an unbelievable, awesome human. And it was a fantastic conversation. I know you're going to love it. If you do, make sure you do me the solid of sharing the episode with someone else. Put it on your social media, email it, or text it to a friend. That is how we all spread more truth in the world. So here you go. So you're all better?
I'm all better now. Yeah, I had the Wuhan.
I don't mean to laugh. I'm like, I had it too. I've been there.
I had the Wuhan. I chopped my beard off. I'm like a completely different person.
Yeah. What's up with that? Why did the beard have to go?
It gets long. I don't know if it's the same with you guys as far as women. When it comes to your hair, you can tell when there's like dead ends and things. So I could tell it was dry, it was breakage. I said, I'm just going to start it over, man. So I look 10 years younger.
Yeah, you do. And I just did the exact same thing. I usually have like really long hair. I just cut like 10 inches off my hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was just feeling fucking old.
Yeah.
I look tired. I'm like, I need something drastically changed. And so I'm loving my new short hair. And people are telling me I look younger.
It's like a midlife crisis. Like,
yeah,
a 70-year-old goes out and buys a Corvette with the top off. It's like, man, why'd you wait till, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just said, man, I'm just going to chop this stuff off. We'll regrow it. It's starting to grow back.
It's looking slick.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Good.
So how's things going?
Good. Today I took my daughter back to school for the first time because we hired a teacher and had her at my office all of last year just because of COVID. And so she's just had, long story short, she's had a tumultuous, like several years of moving schools and then being home for a year. So I'm on fire today because today is the first day of high school for her. And I got to be able to like do my workout, walk my dog, take her to school, be done with her for the next 6 hours and be able to come to work and not have anybody here but me and my assistant. So I'm like, I feel like a new woman today.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Hey.
And I was stoked about us finally getting to have this conversation.
Yeah, I apologize. Last time I got sick. I lost weight too. I probably dropped like 10 pounds.
Really?
Not water weight either, just
real weight.
I feel skinny right now. Usually I'm pretty husky, man, you know?
I don't feel skinny right now. I feel pretty husky right now.
pretty bad.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, no, life has its way of throwing challenges at you.
Yep, you
You
got
know, and
it.
it's all how you deal with your challenges. So, I own a business, so I'm going through some challenges with my business.
Mhm.
Kind of got me stretched out a little bit today. Well, it's got me stretched out, period, the last couple of months. But other than that, man, that's what it's all about. Life is going to throw challenges at you. It's how you deal with them, work through them, come up with solutions on how you're going to get through it. Kind of like our country right now.
Exactly.
Serious fucking challenges.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
No, you don't have to. Like,
I'm sure we're
this
gonna
is
dive
basically like the
into it
female
today.
version of the real AF. So it's like
Yeah, I
there's
see.
F-bombs going nonstop.
No worries, man. I understand. Let's do it.
I dropped the C word on my last recording with my girlfriend that I do. It's called Raw Sugar. And
Yeah. She's probably like,
she wasn't, because she's my best girl. So she's like, she totally gets me. And I was like, sister, you totally set me up. You teed that one up for me so perfectly. I didn't even have to think about it. It just flew out of my mouth. I was like, so now we broke whole new ground.
Hey, that's the thing about running your own show too. You can say and do what you want to do.
And people don't have to listen. That's the beauty, right?
Yeah, if you don't want to listen, plug your ears.
All right.
You know who Jim Rohn is?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's passed away. Jim Rohn used to say, well, just plug your ears. He used to put his fingers in his ears. Just plug your ears if you don't
like it.
That's hilarious.
Well, and this is the whole reason I had reached out to you to be a guest on the show. I mean, a couple of different reasons. I listened to the podcast that you did with my friend Andy and their crew
about grape jelly and syrup.
Yeah, and I didn't know that was you on the recording when he first did some teasers on it. I was like, dude, this is why you and I get along so well.
Grape jelly and syrup.
Oh, shoot. But this show is all about bringing the truth through people sharing their stories.
Absolutely.
Not someone's just opinion on what the truth is, or nowadays people just talking about a lot of shit that they really don't know anything about. Talking points being spewed. And I'm just a firm believer that life is really just a big compilation of individual stories and how they all work together. And we need more people like yourself and other people that I have on the show that are willing to not just talk about all their successes and put out there how great they are, but really tell their story in their struggles, their failures. People love this show because I'm really vulnerable and willing to tell everybody every time I fuck up. And I'm not oversharing. They don't need to know every detail, but when I'm willing to say man, I'm confused, I'm lost a lot, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed in business. Sometimes I feel like a shitty mom, right? There's a lot of things I've done in my life that I'm not proud of. When I'm willing to do that, you can't believe the audience that it draws in. Yeah. And so
it's transparency.
Yeah. And people need to know right now that they're not alone.
Yeah. We got a lot to talk about today then.
We do. Yeah.
Do you want to start?
So do you want to start by just kind of giving us your background story?
And
share what you want to share, what you're comfortable sharing. And
yeah, I'll share. I'm completely open book. You can look it up online. You can do research on me. Everything I'm going to share with you today is completely an open book. I guess I'm starting to get recognized a little bit more on social media. Something that I never, expected. I didn't expect to have hundreds of thousands of people following me on different platforms. Right. But one day I went on and shared my story. At the time, I was just a pissed off American. I didn't like the things that was going on at the time, like the lockdowns and the forced closures of businesses, which I'm a business owner. So I started voicing my opinion, voicing the things that I felt was wrong and not right, voicing different hypocrisies that are going on. This person said this, but now they're saying this. The lies, right? The inconsistencies with our government, local government, and then just things that I was going through as a business owner and how it affected me directly. A lot of the narratives of when it comes to race, critical race theory, when it comes to vaccines, you name it. We'll probably cover it all today. Yep. But who is Craig is what most people are going to be like, well, who is this guy, this handsome guy, right?
That's what I thought. The minute I heard and saw you, I was like, man, I got to meet this guy.
No worries. No, and I'm not self-centered, y'all. I'm joking. But
I know.
who is Craig Long? Craig Long is an American that loves where he lives. I love America. I think it's a great country. Are we perfect? No. Are there things that we need to fix? Things that we should change and work on? Absolutely. Nobody is perfect. So obviously our country is not going to be perfect. But do we still live in one of the best countries to have the most opportunity, regardless of the color of your skin, whatever your religion is, whatever your opinions are? We still live in a great country. A lot of what we hear on media, things that are pushed on social media, my story and who I am kind of shatters a lot of the things that they say. I'm from Virginia, grew up in Northern Virginia, close to DC, kind of ran back and forth. Came from a military family. My father at the time, when him and my mother were married, he was in the military, very strict parenting when they were together. Over time, they ended up getting a divorce and splitting. I lived with my mother. She raised 3 children, my brother, my sister, and myself. And she did the best that she could. I was at an age where I had a father, thank God. But my father wasn't in the picture. But I do
How
remember.
old were you about when they separated?
When I was 13.
Okay.
I was 13 years old. I'm 37 now, to put it in perspective. I was 13 years old. So, a 13-year-old, you don't know what's going on. You kind of develop your own thought process of what may be going on. So at the time, at a young age, I don't know what's going on between my mother and my father, but they split. In the divorce, if most people that may be listening, maybe you've gone through a divorce and you know that the casualties tend to be the children.
Oh yeah. Just to give you a point of reference, if I can interject there. So when I was 10, my parents divorced after being together for 24 years. Mm-hmm. And he commits suicide during that process. So I went through divorce, then the loss of a parent, and then really like kind of an absent mom, pretty much. I mean, she's a wonderful woman. Like she's my best friend to this day. But during that time, it was just too much for her and she was kind of absent. So during those all years that you're talking about right there, I pretty much was latchkey kid. I just was figuring shit out all for myself. So Bingo. I get it, right?
You literally hit it on the nail. Because most people were like, well, you came from a good home. Your dad was in the military. But when they split, things change. Mm-hmm. My father has envy, resentment. He's got anger towards my mother. I'm a kid. I don't know what the hell is going on. You know what I mean? Now, as an adult, I kind of have an idea. They're transparent with me. They share the different things. But at the time, when you're a kid, you start to develop your own thought process of what you think is going on. And you have so many questions. And at the time, I felt like I was in the middle, like a ping pong. Mm-hmm. Man, I love my father. I love my mother. I don't see my father maybe every other weekend if we want to even go to see him, right? We're getting older. We got friends and things that we like to do. So, it was a rough patch time, right? There was times where my father was displaced due to the marriage, the divorce. He had nowhere to go. I used to sneak my father through the window, right? He would cry himself to sleep. So you see a grown man cry himself to sleep every night. I don't know, and you might be able to relate with what I'm getting ready to share with you, Evie. You know how when you cry so much, there's no more tears, but you're so sad. You have like this lump or this feeling in your heart, but it's just like a burden sadness. So I wouldn't have the teardrops coming out, but I was so sad going to sleep like that every night with what's going on between my mother and father. And it got bad to the point where, cops were going to get involved if he kept coming back. So it was bad, right? Yeah. Just to paint the picture for everybody so they understand how it all transpired and how it all developed. I went through a rough time with my mother and father's divorce. And so that was tough. My father was out of the picture. My mother was raising us. She was there, but she's working. She's working to try to maintain a home that she can't even really afford. So just like you said, I'm 13, 14, I'm growing up. I had to learn quick and be responsible. Were we rich? Were we middle class? We were poor. You know what I mean? Oodles and noodles, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, spaghetti.
Yeah.
That was it.
Kraft
right?
box spaghetti. That was what I grew up on. Frozen pizzas, frozen tuna
pizzas.
pizzas.
Oatmeal. That's it. So it was very, am I saying we were the poorest compared to some of the other people? No. But to paint the picture so people understand. Either way, it's no excuse for what I'm getting ready to share with you. But eventually I gravitated to the people that I grew up with running the streets. And through that, eventually I left home at the age of 16 years old. I was 100% in the streets, selling drugs, you name it. I toted the firearms, the illegal firearms, stabbing people, fighting, you name it, I did it. Anything that you've seen on the movies and the shows, I did it. I mean, I 100% did it. Out of the house at the age of 16, at the time, me and my father are on no talk. We're still on no talking terms, me and my father, which we'll get into later. I'm sure you want to know. But I ran the streets. I took care of myself even at the age of 16. It got to the point where my mother begged me to come back home because she's my mom. She's worried about, hey, where are you at? Where are you getting this money? And just come back home. She even called the cops on me. To the point where they would show up to school, high school. Let me backtrack. The one thing, Evie, that I always knew that I had to do was get my high school diploma. I said, no matter how much I mess my life up, no matter where my life goes, I'm gonna make sure I get my high school diploma.
Where do you think you got that, like, respect and desire for education?
Well, it comes
if all these other things were pulling you in the other direction, it's like that there's something there that would make you stay the course.
I still had good parenting.
Yeah.
When they were together, a nuclear family, I had very good parenting. Remember, my father was in the military, so he was very strict. He was a drill sergeant, air assault drill sergeant, right? He did not play around. He was active duty in the military at the time. So it was very, so they instilled the importance of education. Now, did I like education at the time? Did I care about any of that at the time? My family's been broken up. I've gravitated to the streets. I'm into all kinds of things. I'm taking care of myself at the age of 16. Yes, those value systems, right from wrong, school's important, were there. But at the time, I seen no vision for my life. And that's just me being straight, completely transparent with you. I remember I played basketball. I've had friends that were playing basketball. I remember they graduated before me, and they went off to UVA. I ended up getting a partial scholarship to go to UVA at Wise, which is another story. But so we would go up there to visit them. I knew what the college life was like, being on campus, which is a lot of fun. But I always knew in the back of my head, I can't afford to go to college. I'm never going to be able to go here. I just better enjoy the moment while I'm here with my friend. So I didn't have any vision whatsoever for the next step after high school. All I seen was, well, I guess this is my life. I'm going to be running with the crew. I make ends meet through selling drugs. We got beef with these people over here. Like that was my life, right? But to go back, she called the cops, and I would still put myself through school. Even though I didn't live there, I was out there 100% in the streets. I still showed up every day to go to school to try to get my high school diploma. Now, I failed miserably to get that high school diploma. I think I was one of those students where the teachers knew this is a trouble kid. I was well known in the area. I've been in papers. They knew he's a suspect in this. So they knew I was a trouble kid. And I think some of them kind of helped me, let's help try to just get them out of it. But the cops showed up at school, said, hey, we have a missing persons on you. Your mother's worried about you, saying you ran away from home. But, we all know, and they pretty much left me alone because there's nothing that you can do if I'm still going to school. So I eventually went back home, and then I left. So I've been on my own since the age of 16.
Wow.
Long story short, you guys know I was into all kinds of trouble. I always told myself I'm either going to get killed or I'm going to end up killing someone and being in prison for the rest of my life, right? So at the age of 17, I just turned 18. I shot 2 people point blank range. First time felon for what I got in trouble for, keyword. I took the plea. I got 23 years, 17 years suspended. Normally you have good time. So I was supposed to serve like 5 years, maybe a couple of months. I got myself into trouble while in jail and prison. And I ended up doing 100% of the time. I did 6 years, day for day, 365 days a year. I didn't come home until 2009. It's 2021 now. I was 25 years old. I had $0, $25 to purchase a bus ticket, which I didn't purchase, and a box of stuff that didn't mean anything out here in society. But I had nothing, Evie. I didn't have anything that mattered, right? But at least I had my high school diploma. I did graduate from high school through all that stuff. And life.
Did these two people die or just injure them?
Oh no, they live.
Okay.
If they died, I wouldn't be talking
here
to you right
now.
Yep. They live. One of them, not that it matters. One of them, someone took his life later on in the year. So I want people to understand, like, these are degenerates. Right. Like, I was a degenerate along with other degenerates in society. These are people that probably should be locked up, including myself at the time. I don't want people to feel like these were innocent bystander people. Like, these people were very degenerate people. They were involved with the drive-by that they did at a particular home that we used to hang out with. They did a drive-by, 2 SKSs, a 9mm. So these people were like very low life people, including myself at the time. Yeah. And I'm giving you real fine detail.
But this is so powerful because of your views on life now and your love of our country, right? And owning a business and all of the things, not even just the things you've accomplished, but your mindset. Yeah. The mindset is just, people need to hear this shit. They really do, because you're not the story that we hear. I am not. Right. And on the racial terms, you're definitely not the story that we hear.
I'm the anomaly. I'm the exception to the rule. I'm the antidote is what they call me. So if you were on Andy's, if you listen to the Andy show, that episode, I actually expressed and I was pissed off when they say that's what I am. And he says, isn't that the fucking point? And if the camera, he didn't show that part, but you would have seen like it. My face went, like, oh. It dawned on me like, yeah, that's the fucking point. To separate myself from the pack, from the rest. Yep. And that's what I did. So 2009, I came home, life began.
That experience, your experience in prison, you had shared something on Andy's show that I would like you to just kind of speak to a little bit here about the sound of, because this just, my husband and I, so you know, like my husband and I were going for a walk with our dog and stuff. And I'm the podcaster. He will listen to stuff if I give it to him. So I was like, you've got to listen to this show with me. So I listened to it twice. And when we were out walking, it literally, like as a man, it brought him to complete and utter tears. Oh man. Your description of the sound of those doors closing, and only being 18 years old, that's like fucking earth shattering. Right?
You have like, no idea.
No, I don't have any idea. Like I literally, even just talking to you about it makes me have a pit in my stomach. Like I could just throw up, just the thought of what had to have been going through your mind.
Do you have children?
I do. I have one daughter.
One daughter.
14, one adopted daughter. I had a child back in 2002 who passed away the day she was born. Okay. And then we waited 5 years and we adopted our daughter. She's Chinese, which makes me love this country and our freedom, because I've been to China and seen, I have a daughter who's the love of my life that was born into absolutely zero freedom. Right.
Wow. So she comes from a communist country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
She
got a hell of
was.
a story.
Yeah, she's I'm like, I do. That's why I love other people's stories, right? Because there's just so much there if we're willing to share them. But anyway, I don't want to interject. I want you to just.
Well, I don't want to bring back, though, that's a sensitive, obviously I didn't know.
Yeah.
But it's sensitive. I wanted to compare it. I will never know what it's like to be pregnant, but I'm sure you guys are nervous and afraid. Like, I'm getting ready to push this. Like, it's a feeling that you probably have never felt again after that. Maybe, I don't know.
No.
Me going to prison, I can't explain it to you. It's like being on the edge of a cliff, and you know if you accidentally fall or jump off, that's it. It's over. But imagine jumping, but and then it just goes blank, right? It's a weird feeling to go to prison and be around very dangerous individuals, not knowing what to expect. Nothing like the jail whatsoever. But if you that story about those doors opening is very gut wrenching. They give you this tote, right? And it's this big, the tote, we call it a tote. It's a metal box where you put all your belongings in it. Maybe it's linen, like shirt, underwear, socks. You got your towel, washcloth, things like that. Your blues, like your underclothes, your blue shirts, your blue jeans, boots, and things like that, right? So they give you all this stuff, and you're walking. Nobody's there to help you out. You're dragging this stuff on the floor, just trying to get there. Now, the particular prison that I was, they had upstairs and downstairs. The downstairs were like, everybody in prison belonged to prison. They're all violent at some extent, but downstairs was like robbery, drugs, offenses, things like that. If you had a violent crime or you had a long extended period of time, you go upstairs. And the way this particular prison did it, they did it off of color code. So when you go to a receiving prison, before you're shipped to the place where you're going to actually do most of your time, they send you to receiving. What receiving does is it's like a resume almost. They look at, since the day you've gotten in trouble from the jail leading up to now, the type of charges, the nature of your charges, how we're going to classify what color code you are to send you to what level security prison we're going to send you to. Well, at the jail, not only did I have a violent crime, I used use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and it was attempted murder. By the time the case got pled out, it dropped down to malicious wounding. 2 malicious woundings, use of a firearm in commission. I had some statutory burglaries where I break into homes at night, and obstruction of justice, conspiracy. I got stuff to wrap around the building. You know what I mean? So I'm at the receiving. I've been in many fights. I caught another malicious wounding while in the jail, which I beat that charge. The person came into my cell. And this is all public record. You can look it up. So on paper, I look like this violent. We need to break him. He's young. He's got a track record of fighting. He's got violent crime. They sent my young ass. Let me tell you, they sent my young, wet behind the ears ass. Didn't even know how to shave. I had to learn how to shave in prison. To high maximum security prison in Virginia. Red Onion is the highest. You have Sussex 1, Sussex 2, and then you got Augusta, and which is like Augusta at the time was like a level 4 or 5. 6 is the max. That's super. That's where Level Malvo, DC sniper type of people go. Then they can go to level 5. Level 4 or 5 is where they kind of let those people have a little more freedom. They sent me to a maximum security prison with lifers, and that, hey, it's part of the whole ordeal, right? I get there, I have this tote. It's nothing like the jail. It's time for me to go to my cell where I'm going to be doing the majority of my time. And they have these big sliders, metal sliders. And just like it goes, you walk in. Now, as you're walking in, you're dragging your stuff. You hear complete chaos. Like, imagine being at an amusement park. You hear people screaming. There's just a lot of background noise. It's just very loud and chaotic. People are slapping bones. They're yelling. It's a lot of noise. It's very chaotic. It's loud. You have to literally yell to the correctional officer.
Wow.
If you want them to hear. That's how loud it is. So the door closes behind you. You're inside. Now it's time. They hear that door close. So normally when the correctional officer comes, everybody gets quiet. They're letting everybody know, hey, they're saying one time, 5-0, whoop, whoop. That's their way of letting the police know. I mean, letting everybody know, hey, the police are coming in. They refer to the correctional officers police. Put all your contraband away, right? But it's me, so they know it's someone new. And it goes, and when I tell you, it went from complete chaos to silence. Like I don't know how more to describe this. It just, and like looks of death, people just staring at you. And I think there was they keep about 100 people in a pod. I think it's about 100 people in a pod, and just people are just staring at you. Nobody's offering to help you. They're watching you drag this tote. Then that has a downstairs and an upstairs. Mine was upstairs. I'm dragging this tote, trying to figure it out. People are, as you're doing it, they're finding out, are you blood? Are you a Crip?
Oh.
Are you Islamic? Like immediately they go into, who do you identify as? And I don't identify with nobody.
Right.
Like, I ain't in none of those things, right? So prison was something else.
Well, and the image of you at 18 years old, right? Like that's what I can't ever get out of my head, because I think about like myself at 18 years old, and I was just a complete and utter dumbass. I knew nothing, right? I thought I knew everything. Yeah. But what we really know, and anybody that has kids and listens to this, are like, think about how stupid your fucking 18-year-old is. They are, right? They just don't know anything. Like, I just had to go to the high school with my daughter this morning and help her fucking figure out how to unlock her locker. Right? Yeah. It's like,
we think we know.
Oh yeah, right.
And here's the thing. I thought I was a badass.
Yeah.
Anybody can be a badass holding a 357.
But that had to like put an end to that feeling going into that.
I was not a badass. Oh. I was not my first day in receiving, I watched somebody get body slammed on their head. Watched their head crack open and it was just blood everywhere. So they do a good job depicting things on movies, but there's a lot of things that they do not put on the movies that I just rather just bury that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it is not a walk in a park, right? Maybe if you go to the dormitory, you've got a couple of years, that's different. But when you go to maximum security, completely different.
So it's interesting to me, though, that didn't just completely break you and send you in the other direction, where you were resentful, full of hate, back in trouble, thinking society's against you. Like, how do you make that leap? Like, how did that happen, that it didn't go that direction?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I had someone tell me, I don't believe in rehabilitation. I think that the system doesn't help people, yada, yada, yada. I said, it doesn't matter what they put in place to try to rehabilitate or try to help someone not revert back to those things or go back to that type of environment. It's up to the person. It's up to the individual. Whether you're coming home from prison, you're struggling with drugs, maybe you're not in trouble, you just want to get through school, or you're trying to get that job, or you need the skill to be able to get that job, right? Everything that we do in America, or at least America's society, it really is up to the individual's thought process, their decision-making process, no matter what color a person is, right?
Which is which is exactly why group identity and identity politics is so harmful, right? It's fucking destroying us. It's destroying humanity. It's making us look at one another as complete opposites, that we don't belong or share any kind of common ground. And it's taking the responsibility out of the individual. So like, I can't say that, like publicly, I can't say that, right? Because they're gonna be like, well, you're just a fucking white,
white
middle class,
ass. You
right?
shut your white privilege ass. You racist. That's the first thing that they'll go into.
Right? I know.
Now, if let's say I adopted liberal ideology, the first thing I could say, well, even though I made the decision to shoot 2 people point blank range and be out there in the streets and selling drugs, they'll say it's because of systemic oppression from years and years and years of systemic oppression. Our environment, being poor makes people do certain things. And I can tell you right now, that's not the truth either. I know plenty of people that come from the hood that never got in trouble.
I don't know if you follow any of Jordan Peterson's work, but wonderful author. If you don't, I highly recommend reading his books. The 12 Rules of Life.
Is he the one that talks about controlling the inner beast? Let boys be boys and let him learn to be a monster and then control it. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So I mean, like he's a remote mentor of mine. Like the guy has really changed my life and my thinking and helped me be just new levels of self-awareness. And I owe a lot to this guy, but he has something to say about what you just said about poor equals like violence and crime. And he's like, I can't do it justice, but he explains where fundamentally that is just fucking not true.
It's
like
not.
human beings, for one, are the most aggressive when they hit age 2. Like there's no, and which is funny if you think about it, if you're around a 2-year-old, like they're just fucking hitting people with rocks. Like I can remember I bit my sister. Yeah, I bit my sister when I was 2 and threw a cue ball at my cousin. It was like when humans are 2, that's their height of violence. And aggression, and they actually either for what 20% will never grow out of it, and those 20% are the people you're describing that are going to be in prison for the rest of their lives, right? And really almost rightfully so. But he again is a white Canadian dude, unbelievably intelligent, but he doesn't get the right to say that. Everybody says he's a racist. It's like he's not a racist. He knows what the fuck he's talking about, and poor doesn't equate crime.
It doesn't. And I know exactly who Jordan Peterson is. He was on Sovereignty Nation with Michael O'Fallon, and that's how I know. Actually, him and then there's another guy. They speak heavily. The other guy, I forgot his name. Don't quote me on it, but they speak heavily on CRT and a lot of the things, China and things that they got going on. So, yeah, I know who Jordan Peterson is. I've definitely looked at his work. So
anyway, back to what you were saying, your environment.
Your environment, just because you live in a certain environment does not mean you have to behave a certain way or make certain types of decisions, right? There's a lot of people that they're poor and they won't steal just because they're poor. So people will equate it and say, well, no, this is the way it is. If I adopted those ideologies, then I easily would be able to point the finger and say somebody else. But logically, if I said, no, Evie, it's because of systemic racism is why I went to prison, you'll look, knowing what I did, you'll say, you're full of shit. Like what system made you pick up a firearm or break into a home and take a firearm and shoot somebody? Like, no, it's just not true. It's
well,
not
it
true.
seems it seems actually insulting to me in some regard, right? Like, so like what kind of mindset is that if you just look at someone that came from, say, inner city, Black neighborhood, lots of drugs, lots of violence, and I just assume that like, okay, they're just bound to do that? That's fucking like, that's the epitome, that's the definition of racism. But yet we're just saying that like, that's just a blanket statement that everybody's going to do that because that's where they are from.
You're going to get me cranked up on your show. It irritates the I don't know what out of me. What it is, I'll tell you what is happening, is people are growing up in generational decision making. For generations and generations, they're repeating the same thing. Monkey see, monkey do. They're influenced by the people around them. If the influence around you is a negative influence, it will have an impact on you, right? You have to be a very, very different type of individual to not allow those influences around you to affect you.
Right.
If you constantly have people, oh man, you ain't gonna do shit. You like your daddy. You ain't gonna be able to, where are you gonna get the money to go to college? Oh man, you know that white man ain't gonna give you no job. I don't know why you coming in sounding all proper. If you hear things like this, you see everybody in your neighborhood smoking weed, drinking, people are selling drugs. That's not a system. That's the influences that you have around you. And it's something I constantly push on my pages. It's a destructive culture. If we're 100% straight up, let's look at an Asian descent culture. Someone that is Asian. Look at their culture. I have a woman that comes to my business. She's a member at my gym. She's Indian, right? Both her kids are doctors. Culturally, let's look at the different culture. If you're Asian from an Indian descent, you're white American, if that's what you identify as Blacks. Let's look at how each person culturally, how they raise. So culturally, we all raise each other different. Now, is everything within the Black community a destructive culture? Is it all destructive in their culture? No, but there's many things that influence us that is destroying the Black community. It's not a system. It's exactly what we hear all the time. We praise a lot of what within our culture. We praise the lowest denominator of things within our community, and some of it is ignorant. And I'm sure there's ignorant shit in the white community. There's ignorant stuff.
Come to my neighborhood. I can tell you, like, there's plenty of fucking ignorant shit. A bunch of fucking rich, retired white people that just want to fucking get in everybody else's business, right? And I'm not making light of that compared to what's going on in inner cities. But I think you just have to be totally honest with, like, we're all dealing with like a bunch of fucking crazy shit and a bunch of crazy people that is not good for any of our cultures, right? And to point out that there's differences isn't racist.
It's not racist. I got a friend of mine that was riding jet skis in the mud. Country ass motherfuckers riding jet skis in the mud. I'm like, why? But hey, so I'm not trying to just shed only light on the Black. I'm of the Black community. Right. I know the culture, right? And I know there's ignorant and things within each culture that probably could do some changing or whatever, right? But I'm just speaking of what I know, that I can speak from experience. It's not a system. It's not some people on the 13th floor collaborating saying, we're going to specifically keep Black and brown people down. It's not now, maybe in the past. And that's what the problem is. They always use, well, it was like that in the past and we never were able to recover because of it. That's not true. Just like me and many other people in this country, you can make a conscious decision to change it for yourself. If you didn't come from the type of family or the life that you want to live, you have the opportunity to create that and change it right here in America. Right?
I'm a perfect example of that. Like, I mean, we weren't poor, but we definitely weren't rich by any means. I grew up in a trailer park. Most people would have no idea, right? Grew up in a trailer park. Neither of my parents went to college. Like, I don't think that my mom even finished high school because she got pregnant with my oldest sister before she graduated, and her family, that was just an absolute shame to her family, right? Like, dad came from a really highly abusive home, never went to college, kills himself when I'm 10 years old and I'm living in a trailer park and go move into an apartment with my mom. But I always had something in me. Like, I was bad growing up. Like, I didn't go to prison, but I've been in jail plenty of times. Right?
How did you get through that? Like, I know that's heavy.
It's looking back on it, I can't describe it in any other way other than, like, I have a grace within me that I believe is just God-given. And in all that chaos, I always knew, like, I was like the cheerleader, but that was sitting down in the basement with all these stoners, like smoking bong hits every Friday night after the football game was over, take off my cheerleading uniform and go hang out with some really shady dudes. Like, I laugh with my girlfriends now. We'll pull them up on Facebook and I'm like, what the fuck? These guys, like, this is who we used to hang out with. They fucking look like crazy devil worshiping, like, cause I grew up in the like late 80s, early 90s, like major headbangers ball time, right? That's the kind of people I hung out with. And I did a lot of shit that I'm not proud of. But I always knew that I had something that was meant to be really big or important in the world. I can't even describe it other than that. I just always knew that like my life and life in general really matters.
Right.
Separate from decisions I was making. And then I happened to just be totally blessed again that I met my husband at a really young age. I was only 18. He's 3 years older. We've been married for 25 years, together for 30. And he grew up like he had a good upbringing with parents, but super poor, earned every ounce of his money himself from the time he was 10 years old to buy his first dirt bike. Like we both were like these two people that knew we had something bigger inside of us.
Right.
But I can't describe it in any other way how I tackled those things other than just through a grace that God gave me. And I know that sounds so cliche, but there really isn't any other way to describe it.
Really simple.
Yeah. But it comes down to the individual, right? And individual decisions that I was making that held me back, and still do that to this day. I do things where I'm like, fuck, why'd I do that? That held me back, because that's just part of all of our human existence. It's just flaws, and then some triumphs, and then some faltering, admitting we did things that were wrong, that didn't serve us, and then learning from it and trying to make a better decision the next day.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I pretty much do that. I'm still doing that now. I'm sure 10 years from now, I'll be talking to you again. Yeah. I'm still fucking up.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean? I think if we can the faster we can make the most mistakes, the more smarter you're going to get, the better you're going to move out.
Yep. Because I was kind of an old soul by the time I was 23. I was married, had accelerated myself through college. I finished college in 3 years. So I went from like this total stoner, constantly in trouble, getting thrown in jail for things.
Maybe because of our past, at such a young age, we have old souls. We had to grow up fast.
Yep.
Right. We had responsibilities at a younger age. We had to figure it out a lot quicker.
And I've always just believed, because then I was burying my daughter when I was only 27. And there's just so...
Your wisdom is probably beyond... They say before you go, you're going to experience every emotion. Your wisdom is probably just out of this world. I would love to have like an off the air conversation.
Yeah, we need to do that. I was going to be down in Florida actually this last weekend. You and I would
be on there crying.
Totally.
100% will be crying. Like,
it takes me a lot to cry. That's like one fault. I'm working on that. I'm like, other than my dog dying or putting on too heavy of a back squat, that's made me cry. But other than that, like it's like
when we do though, it's like, oh my God, it's a big teddy bear.
Yeah, like where did this come from?
What's going on?
Yeah, people think I'm so harsh and stuff, and then they meet me in person and they're like, oh my God, I don't know if I've ever been around someone that has like more compassion and empathy for people when I don't come across that way on the air.
Yeah, I absolutely care for a lot of people. And that's what I did when I came home. I stopped living my life for myself and said, I'm going to start living my life for other people.
Did you make that decision when you were still in jail or in prison? Or
in prison, I said, I don't want to live like this anymore. I just don't want to live like this anymore. Remember, before I went to prison, I thought I wouldn't even live to see the age of 18.
Right.
21. Either I was going to get killed or be locked up. So now that I'm in prison, I'm like, I don't want to live like this. I'm going to change everything about me. The way that I speak, dress, the things that I do, things that I read, right? So going back to when you did ask, like, what changed? You know, does everybody in prison make the decisions that I didn't know? Even in prison, you have to make the right decisions, because that's a whole nother criminal enterprise in itself, just being in prison. There's still drugs, gambling, gang, violence. It's all there. And a lot of other things. But I gravitated to trade schools. I said, I'm going to go get a trade. Business software application, something so simple, how to type. Believe it or not, all these tattoos, this background, I can type my ass off. And my goal is low error. So I'm like, you'll say, holy shit, this dude knows how to type his ass off.
Great.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's so great.
I was just taking trades. I gravitated to reading, and I realized I actually enjoy history, right? Which why me and Vaughn clicked so well on Andy's show, because he's a history buff. I gravitated to history. I was reading African history, American history, just history. And I started reading, I realized, wait a minute, I'm acting dumber than I come from a people we're not dumb. We were geniuses, right? We used to run the world.
Yep.
But you got that separation. So I gravitated so much into history, and from African history to American history, how it all kind of transpired. The things that, and it's funny because I can look at it now, you have your Africa, pro-Black Africa, you have those people, right? And it's funny how I see the content that they push and the things they always want to highlight on. But when you've studied African history, you realize, wait a minute, their messaging comes off as very anti-white, right? Is what I call anti-white. Because I know, because I've studied African history, I said, but wait a minute, white folks have been helping us all along throughout this whole ordeal. I don't care where you want to go in the passage of slavery, wherever, even during the slave trading, the Atlantic slave trading, you'll never hear about white pirates. Did you know they had white pirates?
No.
They had white pirates, and this is how Black pirates became. White pirates would go and pirate the slave ships, they would free the slaves, and then the slaves would take over the ship, and then they became pirates, and everybody's being pirates running around, but nobody wants to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the white pirates. They don't want to talk about how some slave masters or plantations, they were good. They would teach them how to read, write, do different things under that society at the time, whatever the law was. It's just like now. If we go towards a society where you got to be vaccinated and the government, and if you're not, you can get locked up, and you got to have these vaccine passports. Right now, this is all hypothetical, but if we go there, there's going to be people that got vaccinated, or their doctors, whatever, right? That know there's people that don't want to get it, that will help them and say, hey, here you go.
My husband's one of them. So my husband's a doctor, a vascular interventional radiologist, highly trained. And and he's not getting vaccinated. We're perfectly healthy. We don't care about telling people if we're vaccinated or not. We don't give a shit who decides to do it. We are completely not okay with it being mandated. We're at a really tumultuous time in our life because he's at a crossroads. He's been practicing for over 20 years, $160,000 in student loan debt, and 17 years of schooling that could go out the window if he's mandated to do something that is something he's not in support of. And just the simple fact of being a mandate, he's not okay with it. And he's fucking 50. He's going to be 52 years old next month, right? You're like, really? This is what we're going to fucking be up against after literally decades of helping people?
We're going to get this podcast up and running.
Yes.
No problem. No, I commend them for it. And that people need to come to a point where they make a stand and they understand the risks and what's going to come with it.
Yep.
I think it's very liberating once you've reached that point. And a lot of people may never get there, right? But the reason why I use that, just hypothetically, even during the Jewish Holocaust, you had people that were helping the Jews. My whole point of bringing that up is, through being humans, you have good people and you have bad people. No matter what situation we're in, you're always going to have someone or groups of people that come together that are good, that are going to try to help other people fight against the bad. No matter what. I don't care what part of history you go through, it's always that. No matter what the color of the person's skin was, you've always had people that were good that tried to help, no matter the circumstance, right? They put themselves at risk. There's a lot of white liberals right now. They say they're social justice warriors, right? It's very easy to be a social justice warrior right now when there's nothing at risk. There's nothing at stake, right? At stake, right? But could you have been what you're saying now back then, when it was, you could lose your freedom, your life for helping somebody?
Oh yeah, I
right?
giggle about this. I had Maj Toure on my podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we had a conversation. I just told him, I was like, I got to tell you that as a middle-aged white woman, I'm embarrassed by
Uh-huh.
by these white women that are like, I'm going to go out and save the Black community. For one, it's so fucking insulting because you don't really know anything you're talking about. And for two, you're full of shit, because are you really out there on the streets trying to do something within communities? Whereas that's where it has to start. You can fucking post like, here's all the Black businesses I support on your Instagram. What the fuck does that mean? That means nothing, right? But these people aren't willing to go out there and actually get their hands dirty and risk anything in their own life, any of their own comforts. And
But
that's
they'll
why
get,
I can't stand it.
I can't stand it either. But they'll make sure they're on a social media post, kneeling down, kissing someone's funky ass feet, or washing their feet and pumping their air in solidarity.
Totally.
It drives me absolutely insane.
It's just signaling, right? It's nothing but just signaling.
They'll put the black square on their social media, but yet they're the same people that are quick to cancel you because of your political views.
Yep.
I'm the Black person that doesn't go along with the collective mob, right? So at the end of the day,
you get backlash for that?
Are you kidding me? My local business got spammed with 1 stars because of my political views.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Yeah, man, I've been through the ringer, man, but they've done everything to try to shut me up. It ain't gonna shut me up. My message is always the same, using my story, right? We now on your show, you guys know, oh, okay, this is a guy who comes from this is how it kind of transpired. He's made dumb decisions. He came home in 2009 with pretty much $25, nothing. Paper ID, right? 8 years later, he has his brick and mortar business. I've surpassed people that have never gone to prison. People that have gone to college, I've surpassed them. If we're going to gauge success based off of a financial
right
gauge, right? My life, I've surpassed a lot of people, and a lot of people are like, they don't know how I did it. But it doesn't stop there. Not only am I a successful business owner, in my time from 2009 to 2021, not only have I been successful, tried and failed different businesses, but now I'm where I am now with a successful business and starting many other businesses, whether they're online, etc. Not only that, but I've also received all my civil rights back, including my Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's fascinating to me because I don't know how that process works. Like, how does that even happen?
It's exactly what they say. He's an exception to the rule. Most people don't go to do it, let alone you went to prison, you got in trouble for shooting people. You mean to tell me you hired a lawyer and petitioned the court to get your Second Amendment rights back so that you can bear arms again, purchase firearms and have ammo and go hunting if you wanted to? Everything that goes along with the Second Amendment right.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you drug yourself back into the court? Yes. Yeah. And in Virginia, and remember, I put space in between this. I've changed my life around. So there's parts of the system that, yeah, I'll agree. Could there be some changes here and there in some of the things that's within our system? Yes, I 100% will say that. Right. But don't say the whole system needs to burn down, because here I am, a Black man in America. I've completely screwed my life up in my younger age, changed my life around now. Now I'm an adult with a family, a successful business. I can donate to whatever organizations I want to donate to, charities. I do different things within the community of where I live, right? I'm active within this community. Like, I've helped many people. I serve people now on a greater level, on a greater scale. Not only that, but I've received all rights back. Like, my life has changed. The system's balancing scale, the judge was able to see that, and he granted my rights, regardless of the nature of my crimes and what took place back then. And here I am, an example that it's possible right here in America that they say is so racist. There's people on the 13th floor that is collaborating against me. I haven't seen it. It's just not true. I always tell people, look, you're born looking like your mother and father, but you're going to die looking like your decisions. What decisions have you been making, right? What decisions have you been making in your life? If you think that it's the system, it's funny, these collectives, I call them the Black KKK collective group think. And the reason why I say that is because they're very anti-white. It's everything's pro-Black. We're going to just all kumbaya around that. We're oppressed and white folks are evil and this whole system needs to burn down. And it's just not, no, you guys need to get past your own bullshit, right? They always speak over, they'll say, no, your Black experience is not the whole, is not the Black experience. You're an antidote, an exception to the rule. There's people out here that's oppressed and can't do what you do. And I always challenge them, I say, take me to where you're talking about other people, because you ain't talking about yourself. First thing I always ask, are you successful? Did you go to college? Right now, I'm successful. I'm not talking about me. We're talking about those people. Okay, well, take me to those people and show me who you're talking about that can't do what I did, or can't at least change and flip their whole life around.
Right. Let's
open up their bank account. I can look at their spending habits. I can look at when's the last time they learned a new skill. Are they doing the things that are going to make them successful? And I always tell people, I say, success is a universal rule, principle that does not care about what color you are, your creed, what religion you are. It doesn't care. What it cares about are you practicing on a daily over time, the principles, the habits that are going to set you up to have better opportunities and to be successful over time, as long as you don't give up. You take me to anybody in this country, Black, white, Hispanic, I don't care where they come from. They had one parent, they came from two parents, or this happened, this tragic happened, or that. If they have a cognitive ability to make a clear thought process, you know, they have all their wits, they're ready, willing, and able. I can simply, we can open up their life and I can show you things that they can change right now that can set them up and have better opportunities, regardless of what color they are, regardless of what their background is, how they grew up, what their religion is, what they believe. I can show you. Life is about decisions and mindset, right? If you have the mindset that there's people on the 13th floor and the system is set up against you and someone's got their foot on their neck, you live your life that way. I can show you many people that are Black, white, Hispanic, Asian in America that are winning. They're practicing that successful principle that I just discussed that doesn't care about what color you are. Well, it is always looking for a home. So life is about decisions. Life is about how you apply yourself, what you're learning. Are you learning new skills? Are you molding them? Are you getting better?
Are you seeking out mentors? Are you seeking out people that you want in your life that you know? I mean, I'm big on that. Like every association I have at this stage of my life, which are some really big, important, influential associations with people, every one of them, they came from me just going out there and out there and out there. And like, I'm not like, I want to seat at your table, right? Like, I want to be a part of that. Like what you have, the energy you have. I'm not talking about financially. I'm saying the energy you have, the drive, the dedication.
It's contagious.
Like, I just like fucking want part of your essence, right? And I can't have it unless like, you're not going to come find me, right? If people think someone's just going to come find me, like they're not going to come find you. No one's coming for you, right? You got to get out there and make your place. Jesse Itzler said it so good at a conference. Like you got to make, if there's no seat at the table, make yourself a damn seat at the table.
Yeah. Network.
And there's lots of no's that go along with that, which I think most people don't do it because it hurts when people say no. You're like, fuck, I'm a loser, right? Well, that was embarrassing.
We're not talking about going up to Kanye West and you just start rapping. That's such a, or going up to someone and say, hey, I want to work for you.
Right.
Like you're gonna get, man, fuck no. I don't know you.
Right. Like, who the fuck are you?
It takes some time. You might get some no's. You just gotta keep at it, man.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So, and that's an art too. That's an art in positioning yourself, you know, to get closer to who you want to get to or learn or be in this particular group. That's an art as well. That's a
And it can
skill.
just be people in your own community, right? Like, so if we're looking at, okay, like, well, what are solutions to this? Then if we know that, for one, culturally, there's a lot of bad influence in all of our cultures that are going on that can hold us back, right?
Yep.
And then we've also got the problem of everybody wanting to dismantle systems without really having alternative systems in place. You can't do that. Like, we're trying to just rip apart institutions right now that have proven for hundreds of years to work. Now, are they perfect? Absolutely not. Is there racial injustice? Absolutely. Right. Like, when I'm fully retired, I actually want to write, and hopefully I'm going to get my law degree here within the next 10 years too, because that was my initial plan in life, but I want to write for the Innocence Project. So like, I get that there are definite flaws within systems, but we can't just dismantle them, which is what we're trying to do now. And if we dismantle this shit, it's chaos.
People are fucking soft. Yeah. Just because you open a business and your business did well 5 years, 3 years, you failed. Don't say, oh, the system is fucking capitalism. It's fucking, this shit's built against me. No, man. There you go, pointing the finger and blaming it on other people. Maybe through your failure is highlighting something about yourself that you got to get better on. Mm-hmm. Just because you fail, it means you suck. In most cases, it does mean you suck. Yeah. But it's highlighting what you suck at, you need to get better at.
Yep.
Regroup and go back at it again. Don't blame it and sour in your pissed off moment or your sadness. Mm-hmm. Like, it's part of success. If you study any successful person, most have failed at a few things. Some filed bankruptcy. This is why it's important to study successful people. Mm-hmm. I have a level of success that, I'm appreciative, but I want more. Mm-hmm. It's just not, there's more. This is good. And it's like Jim Rohn says, it's not a bed, right? He tells them it's not a bed to lay in. You have to keep, setting new goals.
Yep.
So I understand where I am and what I'm doing is not a bed. I don't just rest and sleep in the bed and think, oh, this is it. No, you have to keep setting the bar and challenging yourself, right?
Totally. I've gotten so much of that. Like, so my husband went through medical school, obviously put himself through, we were married. I put him through medical school, and financially we're in a good position, right? Not where we want to be, because we want ultimate freedom of wherever we want to go, if just in the world we're at, right? We don't want to be stuck to his job. But I get from people all the time, they're like, I can't figure it out. He'd be like, why don't you just like enjoy just like being a mom and stay home and just do all this shit? Like, we just opened a new nationwide food company, like fully invested. I mean, you wouldn't believe that probably 9 out of 10 people say to me, like, I just don't get you. Like, why would you not just fucking sit back and enjoy your life? I'm like, what am I going to do all day? If I was home all day, I would just go drink wine all day long, right? That would be my vice. That would be like my escape, right? Instead, it's podcasting, meeting awesome people, opening 2 different companies, having a fitness app. Like, I'm fucking all over it, writing a book. People are like, you're fucking schizophrenic. People, I'm like, I'm not. I'm just driven.
When you meet other people that are driven and they're where you see yourself wanting to go, you get exposed to something, and it's like, oh no. When you stay around that energy that we were talking about earlier, that's contagious. You don't want to live a mediocre life. No. You're like, no, this is not. You want to continue to keep doing things that's fulfilling.
Yep.
It's fulfilling to write a book that someone can pick up, and it may inspire them to do something. It can help them. That's fulfilling. It's fulfilling to create a podcast that people can listen to, where you get the messages, the emails that, hey, what you said changed my life.
Totally.
It put, my husband had tears. Mm-hmm. It's fulfilling, and it's hard to get people to understand that. Yes, trying to do a business or starting something is very hard. It's almost like it has to test you to see if you're worthy, or mold you to be ready for what you're trying to do, because the more people you serve, it leads to greatness, right?
Yep.
So when we're doing these things and we continue to keep setting the bar, people need to realize it's fulfilling. It feels good to help people. And in return, it compensates you. And it's such a simple concept. People can't get around the hard work part. And sometimes people think that they're working hard until they meet someone else that's working hard. You're like, holy shit. Go around a Nigerian. I got a friend that's from Nigeria. I thought I worked hard. Oh my God. Completely changed my perspective. But I want to be around that. If I'm around him, I'm going to be working hard.
Yep.
If I'm around Eve and she's setting up her studio and she's got her book going, this going, like, hey, and before you know it, you start meeting other people that are striving to do the same thing, your connections, and it's, life really opens up for you when you don't give up, you apply yourself, and you maintain a positive attitude no matter what. Even when most people say, no, I understand how you feel. You know what I mean? You pick yourself up and you keep going. And man, I've come a long way.
You sure have. Like,
sometimes I look back, I don't know how, I said, how the hell did I make it this far? You know what I mean? And I got so much more to go. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited for people to see where I'm in the early, I keep thinking, to some people, they're like, man, how'd you get? I'm like, no, dude, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole compared to this person here. There's so much more, man. Let me show you. And it's like, you just got to work, man. You got to work and apply yourself and believe in yourself and just never give up.
I was having a conversation with my daughter at breakfast on Sunday, and I was telling her, because obviously she's 14, right? And this kind of brings us full circle about how we each matter and how important it is that we're actually living to our highest potential. I was like, what makes you think that if one man can start a war, what makes you think that one man can't bring about peace, right? Like, are we ever going to have perfect peace on earth? Absolutely not. But people need to remember that. We look throughout history, and I'm a huge history buff as well. And you think about, like, how did this one man do it? Well, it was one man that was totally dedicated to his cause.
Yeah.
Now, it was an evil cause, right? There's plenty of examples of that throughout history. Yep. But what if those that were seeking good were just as dedicated to their cause as those that are seeking to disrupt things? Right?
I agree.
Yep. And we need more people like you that are willing to come out and speak about it. And I get it. Like, it hurts your business. That just pains me that people will like spam your actual local brick and mortar fucking business because of your political beliefs. That's disgusting. I used to own a brick and mortar gym here for 12 years. And I get how hateful people can be. I'm actually really glad I don't own that now in such a political time, because I probably wouldn't be in business anymore. I'm online, so I just have a bigger crowd now to like draw from.
No, I'm actually looking at transition because I have such a large online as well. So I get what you just said. I get it. I'm like,
you and I'll have to have a conversation about that, even just off the air and stuff. Because I built this thing from the ground up for 12 years, was my heart and soul. And then I decided to move. I sold it 3 years ago to go fully online with my EML program. And we're doing our fitness app now. And but we'll have to talk about that.
I'm in
lots of parallels there.
Looking to transition out. So we'll see. The owning a gym is, you know where I'm going at with it. It can strip the passion real quick.
Oh yeah, I got to the point where I just fucking hated people. I'm like, okay, well, I think this is probably counterproductive. If you come to me and want help, and I'm just like, listen, you fat piece of shit, you're never gonna change your life. You're fucking never gonna listen to everything. You're never gonna listen to what I tell you to do. You're never gonna work hard enough. I was like, it's time for me to go. Like, I knew I was at the top of my game. There was nowhere for me to go from there. And I was like, and I'm getting resentful, and I never want to live anywhere in my life, whether it's relationships, business, anywhere in my life where I'm full of resentment. And I found myself slipping into that. So I was like, this is really time to pull the plug and move on and do something more powerful and more productive with my life.
So if you're a gym owner listening to this, maybe you're new, hey, to each his own, but it can get to a point where it starts stripping you of the passion of why you even started it in the first place. Yep. That is a true statement.
Yep.
Sure.
I said it just this last year, and we'll kind of wrap it up here, but that I got to the point even at the end of last year where I was like, I can't even stand the sound of my own voice.
Really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
was like, I
when you
need
were
to be
working?
quiet. Like, I need to just, so I went like 3 months where I didn't put anything on my social media. I completely went off social media.
You
I
do
was on
that
my
too?
locals. Yeah, I did because I had to, because I was like, I don't even like me right now.
I do the
Because,
same thing.
yep. And I
I
came
take
up
like
with,
social media breaks.
yeah, I had to do it. And I did it for 3 whole months. It was like, I don't like me right now. And I came up with this during that time, is that now I'm trying to base what I have to say, because I think I have a lot of important things to say. I just don't know if I was saying it the right way for a while.
Right.
Is it necessary and is it helpful?
Right.
And if it's not, if it's just kind of spewing and I'm just saying how right I am all the time, that isn't beneficial for anybody. We're way beyond in this country. You're wrong, I'm right, I'm right. Like, I don't want to hear anybody's politics. We need to start talking about how to solve these things and bring us back together.
Right.
Um,
Yep, I agree. I
oh,
think one of the first stages is speaking out,
mhm.
people speaking up,
Yep,
probably one of the beginning stages of it. So,
you got
but
it.
hey, man,
Cool.
we definitely need to talk off
Yes,
air.
you got it. And
But,
before I let you go, I always ask, I don't tell people I'm going to do this, but it's not to put you on the spot, but I'd like something just to come to your head, is I like every one of my guests to leave our listeners with one truth that has been probably the most altering or most profound in your life that you want our guests to take away.
if I were to something off the top of my head, I would say no matter what it is that you're striving for in your life, don't be so hard on yourself. I don't think that we as humans understand time.
Mhm.
Using myself, if you were to ask me um, 5 years ago, 5 years back, that you would be opening a gym after doing prison time, I couldn't make the mental leap. If you were to ask me back when I first was released from prison in 2009, do you see yourself doing the things that you're doing right now? I literally could not make the mental leap. So I say that don't be so hard on yourself. Do the necessary things that are going to continue to keep moving the ball, no matter how great or small that move is. Just understand that you really don't understand time when doing the right things. You cannot make the mental leap of where you're going to be 5 years from now or 10. All you can do is kind of set your trajectory up. This is where I kind of want to go, and I'm going to just move towards it. And then one day you'll look up and you're there, and other people will be inspired by it and wonder how'd you do it. So try to understand. I don't think we fully can really grasp how time works, but you cannot predict exactly where you're going to be. And this is coming from someone that came from prison, right? 2009, 2019 was 10 years later. 19, 20, 21, we're talking 12 years ago, I got released from prison. And I never thought that I would be doing the things that I'm doing now. So let's see what the next 10 years or the next 5 years brings me. So I'll leave the listeners with that.
Awesome. Well, I got to tell you, you are an unbelievable inspiration. And I'm so glad that like our paths crossed and that you
Yeah.
were willing to come on the show. Cause like this was
I'm gonna
absolutely,
come
I
on
mean,
again.
selfishly, it's delightful for me to be able to have the conversation, but I know how many people out there are going to be impacted by you coming on and sharing your story. And this won't be the end of it. We definitely need to do this again.
I'll leave something on your show
Mhm.
that nobody knows. I'll say it for your show. Everybody knows my story somewhat now. They know what I do now, brick and mortar, own some online businesses. I don't have to do what I'm getting ready to tell you, but I don't know if I can get in there or not, but I'm trying to join the military now. So
Oh, fantastic.
we'll see how that goes.
We need people like you.
Eve, you got to bring me on the
I
show.
wish you all the luck. And I'll be praying for you.
They get me in there. You got to bring me. Can you imagine that? Man, this guy served and now he's in the military. What the hell? Come on now. Got to bring me back on here again.
You got it.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Come on anytime too. I got to get you on my show.
Yeah, let's do it. I was going to be in Florida last weekend, and then I just decided I bury myself sometimes. And I was like, I need to stay home with my daughter for the weekend before school starts. But I travel to Florida quite a bit. So we'll definitely have
Let me know.
Yeah, we'll definitely connect. And plus I'm the kind of person that's like, I just fucking love my life. I love people. So like when I love someone, man, like I'm just going across country to go like have dinner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you let me know.
I roll.
Man. I'm all for it.
We'll do it.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right.
Thank
you so much. We'll talk soon.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.